Okay.
Hello, everyone. Welcome
guys.
to Trail Talk. We're glad you could join us today. I'm Edie.
And I'm Mary.
And we are coming to you live from the Sod House studio here at the Chisholm Trail Heritage Center in Duncan, Oklahoma. We're really glad you guys could join us today. We have a pretty interesting
Lineup.
lineup. Yeah. It's I mean, you can see Oklahoma Inventors and Inventions Volume 5.
I don't feel like we've already gone through 4.
I know.
I feel like we just started this the other day.
I know it. I was looking back, and we've just kind of dropped it in several times throughout the year. And it's so impressive to think about all the people in Oklahoma who have
Done
just
one thing or another.
Yeah, and just like came up with these cool original ideas. And I mean, some of the people today, I think that might even blow your mind a little bit.
Right.
So smart. And
Exactly.
they have done some cool stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Life-saving things.
Yes, exactly. In fact, let's go ahead and start. The first person is
Very
Dr. William
dignified.
Canfield, isn't he? That was a great
He's
little.
very dapper there. In
This
his
is
suit.
his, he's a doctor. So, you know, when you walk down the hallway,
Yeah, the Hall of Doctors.
yeah, the Hall of Doctors, this I'm sure was his portrait for that.
I can imagine the photographer saying, okay, smile, but don't smile.
Yeah.
Smile with your eyes.
Yeah.
That's the kind of pose we have going.
Yes, exactly. So Dr. Canfield is a glycobiologist.
Some of these words, people, you're going to have to excuse us. We are not glycobiologists, so we don't
Right.
know how to pronounce.
Yeah,
all of
we're
these.
not, chemistry
No.
or medical professionals
No.
ourselves.
No.
So, but anyway, he came up with well, let me read it. I don't want to mess it up. Okay. Chief Scientific Officer and founder of an Oklahoma City-based biotechnology company called Novozyme, which was later required by Genzyme. And he developed, among other things, an enzyme that can stabilize but not cure Pompe disease. So if you're curious about Pompe disease, it is it's like a muscular dystrophy kind of disease, and it can affect people in two ways. At birth, when babies begin to develop, and start moving and rolling over. You may have heard the term like floppy baby. These babies with this disease are floppy. Their muscle tone does not develop, I guess you could say.
Right.
And then it can strike later in life. And so the muscle tone that you have
And they
is
usually
atrophied.
They die from usually heart failure.
Yeah. It just kind of affects the whole body, not just
Heart being a muscle.
Yeah. So it's a very serious disease. But Dr. Canfield got his BS in chemistry from the University of Puget Sound, and then a PhD in biochemistry and molecular biology, and an MD from the School of Medicine at the University of Washington. But then he held a faculty position in medical glycobiology at the University of Oklahoma Health Sciences Center. Okay, so I have
probably
seen
off
this
the
movie.
chart
Have you seen the movie?
No, but it is noted here that there is a movie made kind of after his work with this Pompe disease. It's entitled
Right.
Extraordinary Measures. But his name was changed in the movie from William Canfield to Dr. Robert Stonehill, and was actually played by Harrison Ford.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if you're gonna have someone portray you in a movie,
I'd let him,
right?
I mean, he might even make a pretty girl. I don't know.
Yeah, but there was another person in the movie, John Crowley, who was kind of a partner with Dr. Canfield, in that this was what happened in the movie. John Crowley goes to see Dr. Canfield, or in the movie, Dr. Stonehill, because his children have this Pompe disease. Yes, that is factual.
Both of his children have
But
it.
yes. And it's a great movie. It really is a good one.
I had never even heard of it.
I watched it, and so I recognized it whenever they said that this was about Dr. Canfield. So what happened, I'm gonna go back to Dr. Canfield. We love Harrison Ford around here, but we're talking about Dr. Canfield.
Yeah,
so.
I feel like we need a whip when we talk about Indiana anyway.
Yeah, Indy. So in his very first address to joint session of Congress, President Trump highlighted a young woman named Megan Crowley. And so her father was John Crowley, and she was one of the children in the movie. And
she was diagnosed when she was 15 months old.
Yes, and that says she was not expected to live past 5. Can
you imagine having a child and being told at that young of an age, they won't make it?
Yeah, and this is the lifespan of children diagnosed with Pompe disease. It wasn't horrible. That her case was unique. This is what happens.
Right.
Anyway, so President Trump explained that Megan's father fought with everything he had to save the life of his child and founded a company to look for a cure. And that is when he met Dr. Canfield. And then Dr. Canfield was able to bring the research. Anyway, when he his first address to joint session of Congress would have been in 2017. And Megan was 20 years old then and a sophomore at Notre Dame. So that was 4 years ago. So she's 24. She's graduated, right. I'm sure.
Well past 5.
Yeah. Anyway, Dr. Canfield was a scientist at the University of Oklahoma Health Sciences Center, and his research led to the drug that saved Megan's life. And so, like Mary said, that Megan and her brother both suffered from this disease. And so Dr. Canfield was essentially able to save the lives of both children in the Crowley family. So he founded Novozyme to develop this discovery, and Presbyterian Health Foundation's commitment gave him a subsidized lab. Startup. Subsidized his startup company. And since then, it says it's been sold to OU. I know this Genzyme bought it later and moved people or moved the labs to Massachusetts. So all of this has changed. This all happened sometime back. I mean, if Megan was she's 24 years old, and she was a baby when
20 plus years ago.
Yeah. And it seems like in the movie, there's like this time where Dr. Canfield they can't get the approval from the FDA, and whether that's added for drama or not, I don't know, but it does come down to like this serious time crunch of whether or not the medicine is going to actually be approved, so that the Crowley children and numbers of others can be saved. But at any rate, I think that this is just outstanding. I mean, Dr. Canfield was not born in Oklahoma, but he devoted the bulk of his career, especially the life-saving research that he did to help children with Pompe's disease. And, I think it's kind of interesting when you think about his focus was for just one disease. And how, he has this laboratory, he has this team of people helping him. And how many other diseases are there that don't have a treatment? I mean, this doesn't cure it, but it allows victims of this disease to live an ordinary life. How many more diseases are there that don't have the funding? Or they just the interest, the motivation for whatever reason. I'm not saying that people wouldn't want to, they just,
they're stuck. They may want to help, but they don't have the funding or the, startup or labs.
Right. So when people, kind of puff off the fact that medical research gets a lot of grant money.
Mhm.
You know, there's a great deal of money given to doctors like Dr. Canfield so that they can do this kind of research.
Mhm.
I can absolutely see why it's necessary and why those large sums of money have to be donated for that.
Right.
They have to, the research has to happen.
Mhm.
And it's trial and error, trial and error, trial and error, you know?
Mhm.
And I don't think any of these doctors would say it's a waste. You know,
They've learned something
they
one way or another.
exactly. And, you know, many times they discover something that ends up helping something else.
Right, right.
But medical research foundations and people who give and organizations that give to that, it's all worthwhile.
Mhm.
It's all worth it. Ask anyone who has a sick child who's been treated with a new medication
Mhm.
that saved their child's life. Yeah, it's worth it 100%. Anyway, Dr. Canfield, at least when we got this information just a few years ago, he works with the Oklahoma Medical Research Foundation and SIWA, SIWA Biotech, which is another startup.
Mhm.
So I think his skill set is with brand new research
Mhm.
and seeing the benefit of a startup company focusing on that
That
one
one
thing
Mhm.
and being able to see it through to completion.
Right. Yeah.
So it's kind of exciting to me, very exciting. And I know people who do things with this Oklahoma Medical Research Foundation, and it's a great organization. Oklahoma's really fortunate to have that foundation.
Foundation.
Yeah. Okay. One more glance at Harrison Ford, just for
We
fun.
have to go by it
Just for
anyway.
fun. Yeah, we have to go by it anyway. We'll pause for, okay, there we go. All right, so this is Bill Swisher. And Bill Swisher is actually born and raised in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. He grew up here in
True
Oklahoma.
little Okie City boy.
Yes, that's right. And he's an entrepreneur. So he did a lot of interesting things. He really supported Boy Scouts. I mean, this says he chaired the 1989 National Jamboree and introduced President George Bush at the event's opening ceremonies. I don't know if you viewers know much about the National Jamboree, but it is a big, big event. Boy Scouts from all over the nation come to that. And yeah, I mean, wow, it's a huge thing. So for him to be the organizer of that, that means that he has spent some time with Boy Scouts. Yeah. There was a quote by a man named Oscar Huser. I don't know him, but he says, certainly Bill Swisher has left his mark not only on Oklahoma, but on the world because of his innovative and entrepreneurial efforts in his industry. So he has been involved in the development of more than 50 U.S. and foreign patents, while his paving machinery revolutionized the industry throughout the world. He was the founder and chairman of CMI. I know you guys have seen CMI on trucks, on signs, on buildings, paving. I mean, when they're putting CMI might be working in my neighborhood. We have like chunks of street missing. Yeah, it could be. You know what? I'm going to check that side of that.
Could very well be.
I've been kind of ignoring what the side of the trucks say, but it could be CMI. Could be something. Anyway, he has he really has done a lot of things. Invented a self-propelled road construction apparatus that spreads concrete pavement. And, you know,
it's a time saver there.
Oh, right. Yeah. And I mean, just the fact that he stayed in Oklahoma, built his company here in Oklahoma,
chose to stay here.
Yeah, employed who knows how many other Oklahomans, and continues, because I know that company is still existent.
Right.
Anyway, and of course he's, you know, also is, besides the Boy Scouts, he's a public servant in that he volunteers
and organizations.
Yeah, all sorts of things. That, I mean, the International Road Federation, that sounds like I don't know, some kind of really cool
The
organization.
U.S. Patent and
Uh,
Trademark Advisory Council, the
Yeah.
American Road and Transportation Builders Association.
Yeah, they have their little conventions and everything. But we're just proud as Oklahomans to celebrate Bill Swisher and, his contribution to something. I mean, guys, we
Who
take,
doesn't think
we drive
take
on
it for granted all the time?
concrete every single day, every single day.
Yeah, even if you take public transportation or a bike
Exactly.
or a walk, you're on concrete.
You are on concrete. So,
or
there are
pavement.
people like Bill Swisher who are in the trenches, man. They are
In the trenches.
inventing things that people use. Like Dr. Canfield is very specialized. Mr. Swisher invented something that is absolutely every day used
Right.
somewhere
Right.
around. And so, great. Shout out to Bill Swisher. All right, now, guys, we are going to move to a group that we have not yet celebrated as inventors in the inventions here in Oklahoma. We're going to talk about some women, women who invented, and I was doing this research, and it just occurred to me that we had not
Done any women.
talked about any women, and so I went on a deep dive at looking
She
for
scoured
women.
the internet.
And listen, I want to say, it was hard. I looked through so many outstanding women from Oklahoma. And I mean, we have women who've done a lot of great things. We talked about History Heroes
Right.
the day Jessica
Right.
Garvin was our guest, a lot of outstanding women. But finding women who are inventors and from Oklahoma was a bit of a challenge. Now, I do not believe we're going to introduce you to the only two from our state. I believe there are others. And if you know someone who has invented something, man or woman, but just kind of on the DL that we just don't know about, please pass that information on to us. And I'm going to give you a good example. Melissa Smith, who makes the jewelry. She was here last Thursday on Trail Talk. She has basically invented the process that she uses to make this unique jewelry that she makes. And if you haven't watched that episode, I highly recommend you go back there and look it up, because the way she talks about it and describes it, she has never, ever found anyone who uses the process or creates anything like she is making. There you go, an Oklahoma inventor and invention.
There you are.
Just like that. And so anyway, I feel like there are more out there. So share those names with us, guys. I know there are a ton more. So let me introduce you. This is Esther Hauser, not the best picture of Esther, but the best one I could find. That's the thing. There's not as much information about the women out there. It's a bit of a downer.
It's a manfield.
Yeah. It is.
Because you said a lot of them that were on there weren't necessarily from Oklahoma. They might have spent 2 months in the state. So we like to think of our Oklahomans as people that were born here or lived a majority of their life here.
Right, exactly. So Esther Hauser, now she's not from Oklahoma originally, but she moved here to go to the University of Oklahoma. She has been involved with the aging services side of the Department of Human Services for quite a while. She's originally from Pennsylvania, and she earned her bachelor's degree from OU, and in 1972. Now later, I don't know, just
made her decide to go back.
Yeah, well, in 1977, she went to the University of Texas. I'm just big wide eyes gulp. And she received her master's degree. They probably have a really great social work
I'm sure they do.
program there.
Sure they do.
Yeah. So we're not going to hold anything against her for going there. Because you know what she did? She came back to Oklahoma. She moved back. And okay, so she worked for the Department of Human Services, and then she left, got her master's, and then came back. But while she was working originally with the Department of Human Services, she noticed that there was a lack of assistance for the elderly.
Mhm.
It is something that she became aware of. Now, I don't know what prompted that awareness,
Well,
but
before she started all that, she worked in the food stamps.
well, that's true, and that she probably met.
Several with them.
Yes, I was a food stamp worker when I first moved to Duncan, and
Several elderlies.
yes, and
do
it
take part
was
in that program.
it was very difficult in those days. I don't know if things have changed, but already on a very fixed income,
Mhm.
having to pay a lot of money every month for medication
Mhm,
and different things
mhm.
like that, and not qualifying for food stamps
Mhm.
because of just the little nitpicky
Mhm.
things about the rules.
Mhm. Right.
Very disturbing. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I met people who would just leave in tears, and I was in tears too, because I had to tell them they weren't qualified to
Mhm.
receive any kind, like $20 worth of food
Right.
stamps a month or whatever
Yeah.
the minimum was. It was heartbreaking. So I don't know everything that Esther Hauser has done, but kudos to her for sticking it out. And this is a bit of a unusual thing that she's here for being an inventor and invention, but what she did, I feel like, was as impactful as an invention.
Right.
And in some ways it was, she created an ombudsman program to assist with serving the elderly through the Department of Human Services. And an ombudsman is simply a volunteer, someone who volunteers their services for a specific reason. So she noted the need to the elderly. She got her master's, she came back, and eventually she was asked to head up
That
the
program
Department of the Aging Services Division.
used to be called the Special Unit on Aging.
Yeah, yeah. And so she began the job in 1979 and stayed there until she retired in 2014.
That is some dedication.
Yes, yes, it is. And I can only imagine the ingenuity that she applied.
Mhm.
I mean, obviously, if she's noticing the needs of the elderly without a real prompting, but just those are the people she sees, that's the people group that she identified those needs. She is going to be a fighter for that,
sure,
for those
demographics.
Yes, absolutely. She built the program from a one-person staff to 28. Well, down here, there were some different numbers, to about 30 employees and 250 volunteers all across the state. So, I mean, she built something from nothing. And there are several organizations who help the elderly. Like if you're here in Duncan or in this area, ASCOG has tons of services for elderly people, as well as an organization called Maddie Luke. They serve the elderly community with just, you name it, they can point you in that direction, from finding money to help with certain bills that come up, to finding respite help for caregivers, to elderly who are taking care of their grandchildren. I mean, the gamut, you name it, ASCOG or Maddie Luke, and they work hand in hand with each other. And the aging division of the Department of Human Services is kind of crosses over with a lot of that too.
Well, she said, and she was even appointed as the first Oklahoman's first statewide program coordinator of the protective services for the elderly, also now known as the Adult Protective Services.
Right.
So her heart must run deep for the elder. That is her focus. That is her main drive.
Yes, and I mean, Adult Protective Services, that's when elderly people are neglected. Maybe they don't have any family, and they don't realize the needs they have. And a neighbor or someone has to report to someone,
right,
this,
like their
my neighbor,
newspapers are piling up on their front porch, or we haven't seen them in
or they're not eating, or I mean, there's all sorts of things. And so thank goodness that we have people like Miss Hauser, who just dedicate their lives And they don't take no for an answer. Okay, we don't have an adult, we don't have anything for elderly. Well, I'm just gonna go get my master's and come back.
I'll create
And I'll
it.
just wait, and when they gave her an inch, she took and made a
Mhm,
mile out of it. I mean, and I feel like that ingenuity deserves to be recognized among the
Right,
inventors and
exactly,
inventions
exactly.
here in Oklahoma. Okay, now we're going to introduce you to a lady, and this blew my mind because we have studied people from here in Oklahoma who have done all kinds of things. And this is the first time I've ever found out heard anything about this lady. Her name is Donna Shirley. Now she, she was born in Pauls Valley and grew up in Wynnewood, Oklahoma. So she is Okie through and through. But she, as a girl, became interested in science fiction.
Right.
And she read books by, well, it says back here in this latter part, the books that really impressed her. Just a minute. Ray Bradbury and Arthur Clarke books.
Yeah, that's it.
And so she read those books and she just became intrigued with outer space, science fiction.
That was her niche.
Yeah. And, in Wynnewood, you probably are a little bit different from most of the kids. If you're, in her day, she was born in 1941. So
Right.
She's about the same. She's 80 years old this year. So, in that day and time when you're in school, little girls,
home economics.
yeah, exactly. She was the only girl in Wynnewood High School who did not take home economics.
Instead, she took mechanical drawing.
There you go. I mean, she knew who she was. She knew what she wanted to pursue, but she
began flying at age 15.
Yeah. Don't you love it that her parents
Right.
saw this in her and really invested in that and nurtured this thing in
Her
her?
pilot's license, she earned at 16.
She excelled.
Yeah,
she was a leader.
She
and
did not follow the path of every other little girl in Wynnewood during that time.
Right. So she decides to go to the University of Oklahoma and enrolls as an engineering student. And her advisor told her, girls can't be engineers.
Watch me.
Right? Yeah, here, hold my beer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So she begins studying engineering, and then
she studied flying at the university.
Yeah. She's doing all kinds of things, and then she meets a boy, I guess a man. They were in college, and she becomes engaged. And so she's like, I need to graduate quicker than I'm going to be able to as an engineer. So she changes her degree to what is it? Professional writing. Knowing that she could still work on like documentation and things like that for the aerospace things that she was interested in. And then the engagement fell through.
Yeah, I was gonna say they kind of broke
They
up.
parted ways.
Yeah, and then she went to work for a specification writer and an aerodynamicist for McDonnell Aircraft in St. Louis.
Yeah, and so she was just checking things for errors. I mean, that's what or writing things. That was the kind, and she wanted more. So what'd she do? She went back to OU and got her degree in her bachelor's in aerospace and mechanical engineering in 1965. I mean, just thinking about the era that she was doing all these things in, she was just a groundbreaker.
She was always just put down and told, you can't do that. You can't do that.
Yeah.
She was all the time.
She went on to the USC and got a master's in aerospace engineering. And then she went, she went to work for Jet Propulsion Labs and worked there from 1966 to 1998. More than 30 years she was employed there. And as a result of working there, she became involved with what jet propulsion was doing for NASA.
But not only there, she was the only woman among 2,000 engineers who had an engineering degree. She was the only woman in that 2,000
At jet
at
propulsion.
JPL.
How amazing is that?
And I bet she just held her head up high and said, watch me, boys.
Exactly.
Need help?
Well, I mean, she goes on to become a leader
Oh,
on, well, she was everything about Mars, everything that started out
The
in
Mars
these
rover and
years
things.
about Mars. She was on a team that designed a heat shield. She was mission analyst and later program manager for the Mariner 10 mission to Venus and Mercury. She led a research team studying a Mars rover. She was a Mars exploration program manager and led teams for the Mars Pathfinder and Sojourner rovers. And she was living her dream.
yeah.
I love that so much. That she
One
did
thing after
not
another
let
after
anybody
another.
stand in
No.
her way or tell her she couldn't.
She literally said, the stars are my limit.
Exactly. She shot for the stars.
She did shoot for the stars.
Man, that's
we
something
do come up with something every
Right,
now and
yeah.
then.
We tell the kids stuff like that all the time. She started out at Wynnewood, Oklahoma, very small town, very small school. It doesn't matter where
no
you
one at
start.
NASA's probably ever heard of Wynnewood before she
Yeah.
came about.
Yeah.
Pearl,
Oh, yeah. Yes. It's,
who went further.
oh, okay.
Who climbed,
Yeah.
who started climbing.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
She-
Yeah, she did. She went further than Pearl. You're right.
Yeah.
That's a good point. So, a few little facts about Donna Shirley. She wanted to escape her small town roots and she did that.
Yeah,
I
she
mean,
still stayed in Oklahoma.
She basically went to Mars, she went to space,
Right.
like we were just
She
saying.
got far, far away.
Yeah. She was inspired by science fiction novelists, became a licensed pilot, was not received warmly in the engineering department at the University of Oklahoma, but stayed 32 years at Jet Propulsion Labs. She clashed with one of the
Mars
men,
Pathfinder
on the
project
Mars
manager.
Pathfinder thing. And I mean, I can see that. She probably had to be very forceful.
Oh, I'm sure, even more than
And-
what people are now. She had
Yeah.
to come across tenfold because
Yeah.
of what she was trying to overcome. And plus she was a woman and I mean, yeah.
Precisely. So I'm sure that she clashed with more than one person in her career, but it paid off.
Mhm.
I mean, ultimately it paid off. Oh, one thing we forgot to mention is that she is of Chickasaw
Mhm,
descent.
mhm.
Both of her parents are of Chickasaw descent. And so she is, of course, as well. So the Sojourner rover,
Mhm.
she had an essay competition for the naming of that rover. And the winner was more than 3,000 contestants worldwide. I thought that was cool, entered that. And the winner was a 12-year-old Valerie Ambroise
Mhm. From Bridgeport,
from
Connecticut.
Bridgeport, Connecticut, and she chose Sojourner Truth as the name that she wanted, and that's why it's called
It was
the
she was a
Sojourner.
19th century anti-slavery and women's rights activist.
Mhm, yeah. And in 1998, Donna Shirley had an asteroid named
Yeah,
after her.
asteroid 5624.
Yeah, bet that. Beat that.
Yeah.
Bet that. Beat that. Then
Mhm.
after she left Jet Propulsion, she opened a science fiction museum in Seattle.
The Science Fiction Museum and Hall of Fame.
Yeah, isn't that cool? I think that's so cool. Anyway, she has retired from there, but I thought this was clever.
Yeah.
They said she has received a whole galaxy's worth of honors. And today we wanted to honor her as well as one of Oklahoma's inventors. And I mean, her inventions, wow.
Yeah. They'll
Talk
take you to
about-
space and back.
Man, I was so impressed. I was so thrilled whenever I learned about her and thought, I can't wait to talk about her on
Mhm.
Trail Talk today. So anyway, guys, we hope that you have learned some cool things about some super cool Oklahomans. Yeah. And again, if you know someone who's invented something big or small, it takes all sizes of inventions to keep technology moving forward. There's
Yeah.
always something. So share those with us, please. We're serious. We would love to talk about some of those people. So anyway, tomorrow, Joshua Crowley, Josh, he told me he goes by Josh. I'm going to call him Josh. Yeah. From the Missing Bristle Studio in Marlow is going to be our special guest, and he does pottery and things like that. So he's going to bring some stuff with him and talk about some of the things that he is doing over there. And so I'm pretty excited to meet Josh and hear what he's got going. So you guys be sure and join us tomorrow at 3. And until then,
Happy
happy trails.